Hi besties, welcome back. So today we're talking all things girly. We're talking about the young, brave women of my generation. Yes, we're talking Sabrina Carpenter's iconic response to ICE, Maya Hawke being grateful her mother had an abortion, how this shapes young women and dictates what we're supposed to think, what I'm supposed to think as a young woman in Generation Z. Get comfy, we're gonna chat. To be socially accepted as a young woman today, you must have the correct opinions on two things. Okay, really it's three things, but we're only talking about two of them today. And that is ICE, so illegal immigration, and abortion. As a girl in my 20s, living in today, the year 2025, almost 2026, these are the pillars, or two of the pillars, of being a good woman in Gen Z's eyes. And this past week really reinforced that for me. It reinforced how chaotic, contradictory, and honestly harmful the culture is today. Let's start with Sabrina Carpenter. Okay, the queen whose whole brand revolves around sex. From singing about sex constantly, like literally every single one of her songs is about sex, to getting into sexual positions on stage during her concerts, or wearing barely anything in any of her photo shoots. I feel like every time I see a new photo shoot with Sabrina Carpenter, she is in some sort of lingerie. And apparently that is what empowerment looks like. The same girls who scream about misogyny and sexual objectification are the loudest cheerleaders for an artist who literally objectifies herself for views. Like, I would say Sabrina Carpenter's popularity skyrocketed as soon as she made her entire brand about sex. Let's talk about some of the lyrics in her hit songs, okay? Songs that I stream myself, okay? I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be real with you. I'm always gonna be truthful, okay, in these videos, and I am not ashamed of it. At this point, as a girl in her 20s, it's basically impossible to avoid streaming artists who all seem to have the same ridiculous, scripted, propaganda-filled viewpoints. It's unavoidable. And just to be clear, I didn't have any beef with all the sex talk in her music. I really didn't. I'm not out here yelling feminist rhetoric, claiming that men see us as sexual objects, or that all men are misogynists. I mean, if I get married, I will happily, as Sabrina says, let him make me Juno. So no hypocrisy here. But let's look at her lyrics. Manifest that you're oversized. I get wet at the thought of you. Using your lips on a girl with big tits. Come inside, not through the back door. Your light rod's bigger than Zeus's. So long, untouched, bone dry. About time I get back on that horse to the rodeo. Whole package, babe. I like the way you fit. And then, of course, her very famous Juno positions. Okay, if you're unaware of what that is, Sabrina Carpenter is currently on tour. And at every concert, Sabrina Carpenter fans look forward to her performing her very sexual song, Juno. And during that song, she will get into a sexual position. Let me show you a few of them. Yes. Feminism is saved. Thank you, Sabrina. Women are finally empowered. I feel empowered watching you get into that sex position. Men definitely see us more than objects now. Totally. And I say all this, all right, to give you a little bit of a backstory on this pop icon. The type of figure that is very much praised today by young women. Recently, Sabrina bravely took a stand against ICE. She commented under a White House post using one of her sex songs. This video is evil and disgusting. Do not ever involve me or my music to benefit your inhumane agenda. Okay, interesting. This is the same Sabrina who filmed a sexualized music video in a church. And there was literally no reason for it. I'm left thinking the whole point was to desecrate the church. And she also wore a shirt saying Jesus was a carpenter at one of her big performances during Coachella. So my response is, Miss Sabrina, do not ever involve my church or my God in your sexual, disgusting agenda. But of course, I'm in the minority, and all other young women are praising her on the internet. There are posts discussing this that are saying things like, there's a reason they're targeting women in the music industry. Or Sabrina and Olivia are the latest examples of how this isn't hard to do, because Olivia Rodrigo, another very well-liked pop icon, commented under a White House post. I actually talked about this in another video where she said something like, don't ever use my song to promote your racist, hateful propaganda. Wow, I mean, copy, paste, script, sent it out, right? Because those sound pretty similar. The White House actually responded to Sabrina, which I love. Okay, I just loved. This was everything I needed. All right, it actually made my whole week. It said, we won't apologize for deporting dangerous, criminal, illegal murderers, rapists, and pedophiles. Anyone defending these monsters must be stupid, or is it slow? First of all, the song reference 10 out of 10. Second of all, the rage baiting, 100 out of 10. I freaking love it. I love it. I ate it up, okay? Because they're right. Where was this energy, or where is this energy for victims like Laken Riley or Rachel Morin? And those are just two that were actually forced to be talked about in the media. Because if you don't know, not every murder or rape or sexual assault is talked about in mass media. Really, I'm sorry, unironically, this is one of the best things to happen for women. They are often the victims of these criminals in one way or another. From the UK to here, I don't know how many stories I hear of a woman being sexually assaulted or murdered by someone who was in the country illegally. No, that's not one of the talking points, okay? They're not getting paid to talk about cases like that. And really, I feel at this point, every young female icon, like they're viewed as icons, are all anti-ICE. Like the list is growing. Let me name some more. Jenna Ortega, Addison Rae, Chapel Rowan, Renee Rapp, Selena Gomez, Gracie Abrams, Lorde, Billie Eilish, and Sadie Sink. Because like I said, that is one of the requirements to be liked today. And what is the main goal of all of these celebrities? To be liked. Yeah, that's the name of the game. Still listen to their songs, watch their movies. I mean, if they're so passionate, maybe they should just pool all their money and pay for housing for migrants. Get that recent Stranger Things paycheck, Sadie Sink. Or Sabrina, sell one of your homes. Do it if you care so much. These celebrities have multiple $million-dollar homes. Sabrina Carpenter actually just purchased her third home, which was almost $10 million in New York City. Why not open your mansion, queen? House a few migrants in there. Why does my tiny paycheck need to fund what you care about? And then of course, Taylor Swift enters the chat because you can't talk about anything when it relates to a female artist without bringing in Taylor Swift. That's just like always how it goes. Backstory here is the White House also used one of Taylor Swift's new songs. So the same thing that happened to Olivia and Sabrina. And there's a tweet currently going viral that says, not to be that person, but it's kind of telling how she isn't saying S-H-I-T. And all the comments, well, majority of the comments agreed. And my response is, okay, if you're so triggered, stop streaming her. Boycott her music. Bet you won't. Bet you haven't. Because you don't really care. It's just the right thing to say, socially acceptable thing to say, that you get praised for. And so the same way you don't really care, these celebrities don't really care about us, okay? They don't really care about illegal immigrants being sent back to the country that they're from. All they care about is popularity, their image, and staying on brand. It is all fake and scripted, and believing otherwise is kind of delusional. Speaking of delusional, Maya Hawke, another actress from Stranger Things, went on the Jimmy Fallon show and proudly stated that she is so grateful her mom had an abortion because, quote unquote, she wouldn't be the person she became and wouldn't exist. I guess because her mother had an abortion, that is the only reason that she is alive today. I don't know, the math ain't mathin' on that one. And I mean, of course she does. She grew up in Hollywood. Nepo baby alert, okay? A daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman. She was raised with one narrative, and that is abortion is empowerment. But my issue with this is that it was not organically brought up in the interview. Okay, if you look at the full clip, I'm only gonna show you a portion of it, copyright and all. But if you look at the full clip and the 1 minute prior to her talking about this, because this all happens in the first 2 minutes of the interview, okay? She walks out, she sits down, a minute and 30 seconds later, she's talking about abortion. And that leads me to believe that it was scripted and planned like everything else when it comes to celebrities. They're all fake. Because really what happens is Jimmy Fallon is talking to her. I guess he's known her since she was a baby. So he talks about that, how crazy it was to hold her as a baby and then watch her grow up and be a complete success. And so he's congratulating her on that. And Maya responds with, yeah, thank you so much. I actually called my mom to get advice for coming on here today and talking to you. And we started talking about the Supreme Court ruling, abortion, and she told me about her essay. And then after, Jimmy Fallon pretty much says, oh, thank you for sharing that anyways, and he pivots back to probably the questions he had prepared to ask her that had nothing to do with abortion. It's intentional and strategic.
My mom wrote this really beautiful essay about her abortion that she got when she was really young, and about how if she hadn't have had it, she wouldn't have become the person that she'd become, and I wouldn't exist, and how both of my parents' lives would have been totally derailed if she hadn't had access to safe and legal health care, fundamental health care. And I, of course, like wealthy people will always be able to get abortions, but so many people will not only not be able to pursue their dreams, but actually lose their lives and be unsafe.
And of course, the #1 comment under the video on Jimmy Fallon's YouTube channel is saying how selfless it was of Maya to go on Jimmy Fallon, an interview that was supposed to be about her, but instead she talks about women's rights. Yes, she's so selfless for supporting abortion. What Maya is essentially saying in that video is, my sibling was sacrificed so I could exist. I'm sorry, murder is not healthcare. At the end of the day, whether you are pro-choice or not, that baby lost their life, it was killed in the womb, lost their dreams and their future. That's just the truth, okay? Because the baby wasn't born, so the baby was not able to have any dreams, have a future. And this is gonna be very taboo, very controversial. Everyone saying that this is so empowering, everyone praising Maya for this statement is programmed. You are programmed. Having a baby doesn't destroy dreams. It doesn't mean that you as a woman cannot go and pursue or chase any of your goals, any of your dreams. That is not what this is. Man, that is probably one of the biggest lies told to young women today. And it is straight up depressing. It is so warped and twisted, but for some reason, it's worked. And really, nobody wants to say this. Nobody wants to say it, but I'm gonna say it. Okay? Because I don't care. If you have goals you'd like to achieve, if you have dreams that you are chasing, or if you're just not financially ready to take care of another being, I know I'm not, maybe you just don't have sex for a little bit, because sex was created to reproduce. You are literally doing the action that was made to populate the earth. And God just gave us the bonus of experiencing pleasure while doing it. Because really, if God didn't give us that little perk, you know, the pleasure, we wouldn't do it, because we are all self-serving and we really only want to do what feels good. I know. That's so crazy for me to say that maybe you just don't have sex for a little bit. I know. But in reality, Uma Thurman could have had her baby and still chased her dreams. It would have been a little bit harder. The journey to, I guess, Hollywood, I guess her dream was being an actress. Yeah, that might have taken a little bit longer, but it can happen. Really though, my main issue with the whole thing is just the fact that Maya Hawke brought it up. She can think this, but there was no reason to bring it up in the interview. There just wasn't. This is how they program young generations. We all know everybody under the age of 30 is watching the new season of Stranger Things because of how idolized celebrities are today for younger generations, because they seriously are idolized. Okay, they really do dictate how younger generations think. And that's why it was brought up. That is my whole point. Maya Hawke brought this up, or she was told to bring this up, to speak to everyone under the age of 30. That was the point. It's all part of the programming. Meanwhile, the celebrities themselves are desperate to be liked. So they read the approved scripts, make political comments at award shows, drop in keywords in interviews, or I guess comment under White House posts. That's like the new thing. I don't even know why it's getting any praise, because it's not even doing anything. Okay, anybody can make a comment on a social media post. Oh my gosh, the bar is so low now. I guess you're considered brave now if you just comment something under a social media post. It's all a performance, and the cycle just repeats because both the fans and the celebrities benefit from staying inside the bubble. Look, I'm gonna say it again because it's so true, and I really think it is the reason for a lot of the issues today. Weakness is a cancer in younger generations, and it is encouraged because it makes us easier to control. Celebrities do not care about me and you. And the way young women today are letting their favorite singer or their favorite actress dictate their beliefs is honestly starting to scare me, because I think it is so dangerous, and we are seeing the results of it now. Why do we all have to have the same opinion? What is so wrong with thinking independently? What is so wrong with having possibly a different opinion than Sabrina Carpenter? What is so scary about that? I am sick of this weakness, and I think it is a bigger issue than many realize, because weakness hurts others. Anyway, I don't care. I don't care to be in the minority. I don't care to be the only one saying it, or one of the few saying it in my generation, because I am going to continue to think for myself until Jesus comes back. Yep, that's the plan. Thank you so much for watching. If you did, if you made it this far, you're a real one. Seriously. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe. You know you want to, okay? You know you want more of this. All right, bye y'all.